Welcome everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me. This is 10 newer glam metal albums as good as the original era. So while glam metal's heyday really only lasted about 5 years from 1986 to 1991, it did continue into 1992 and even dragged itself along until 1994. But it never really went away. The bands and members just went underground. Lots of them have since resurfaced with their original bands in new groups or as solo artists. And some of these newer albums are just as good as the original glam metal era. But before we begin this countdown, if you are new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this, with 10 newer glam metal albums as good as the original era. And so for this particular ranking, I focused on musicians from the original era who have gone on to newer things. So not the bands from the original era that continued or reformed. However, lots of them are still making great albums. Instead, the bands and the artists in this list here are musicians from the original era in new groups or as solo artists. So kicking things off and coming in at number 10, we've got Jizzy Pearl, All You Need Is Soul. This album came out in 2018, third solo album by him, featuring, of course, Jizzy Pearl on vocals, and he comes from Love Hate. He also played with LA Guns, Rat, Quiet Riot currently, so the guy's been all around. He's one of the best vocalists from the era, in my opinion. This lineup here also has Darren Householder on guitar, who also played with Love Hate on their third album. He is currently playing with one of the lineups for Rough Cut. Then we've got Mark Dutton on bass. He comes from Burning Tree, and he's also played with LA Guns. And you've got Dave Moreno on drums, playing with Tribe of Gypsy and currently Puddle of Mud. So quite the lineup here on this solo album. Definitely worth checking out. It's a cross between all of Jizzy Pearl's bands, most closely related though to Love Hate. All right, coming in at number 9, we've got Tokyo Motor Fist from 2017, debut studio album from these guys. The band has released a total of 2 albums. They're a super group of sorts. We got vocals is Ted Poley from Danger Danger. Then we got Steve Brown on guitar from Trickster. And then this is interesting. The rhythm lineup in this is Greg Smith on bass, coming from Rainbow and Red Dawn, and Chuck Burgee on drums, also coming from Rainbow and Red Dawn. But the mix of this is really a cross between Trickster and Danger Danger. It's got all the, bombast and flair of everything you love from those two bands, and definitely worth checking out. Coming in at number 8, we've got The Defiance, 2016 self-titled debut studio album from these guys, and the band itself has released 2 studio albums. They're a continuation of the second era of Danger Danger, so featuring on vocals Paul Lane, who came in and had replaced Ted Poley from the original lineup. We got Bruno Ravel on bass from the original lineup, and then Rob Marcello on guitar, who is a later era guitarist for the band Danger Danger. And of course, as you would imagine, this album here sounds every bit as much like Danger Danger. So if you're a fan of that band, definitely do check these guys out. All right, coming in at number 7, we've got The In Machine, Phase 2. This is a 2021 release, probably the newest thing in here. Second studio album from these guys, and this is basically the band Dokken minus vocalist Don Dokken. So it features George Lynch on guitar, of course coming from Dokken, and also Lynch Mob, as well as so many other side projects that this guy is part of. You've also got Jeff Pilson on bass, coming from Dokken, but he's currently playing with Foreigner. And then you've got Steve Brown on drums. He's actually the younger brother of Mick Brown. Mick Brown started this out with the other 2 guys from Dokken. He plays on the first album, but did not want to continue. I believe he's actually retired from the music industry, and or at least retired from touring. So his younger brother, Steve Brown, has stepped in, plays a lot like Mick Brown. So we definitely still have that connection there. And then on vocals, we've got Robert Mason, who's started out with Lynch Mob, played with Cry of Love, and is currently with Warrant. So the album in this sound here is very much in the vein of like Dokken and Lynch Mob. I think it leans a little more towards Lynch Mob sound than say Dokken, but good nonetheless. All right, coming in at number 6, we've got Stephen Pearcy, A View to a Kill. This is his 2018 solo album and most current 5th solo album overall. Vocalist for Rat and Arcade. Arcade's another great band that Stephen Pearcy was part of. Put out a great album in 1993. I do recommend that. Here, the support musicians backing him up on this is his longtime guitarist Eric Ferentinos, but she's also got Matt Thorne on bass, coming from Rough Cut and Jailhouse. Jailhouse, another great band from that era, and Scott Coogan on drums, who's played with LA Guns and Lynch Mob. So really great lineup. Being a Stephen Pearcy solo album, definitely in the vein of Rat. If you've been missing Rat because they haven't done anything in I think about a decade now, definitely check out some solo Stephen Pearcy, and I would say start with this album here. All right, we're halfway through. Coming in at number 5, we've got The Mob, their self-titled 2005 debut studio album. And so far, only one from these guys, probably will be the only one ever, but definitely great super group here. We've got Doug Pinnick on vocals, coming from King's X, Reb Beach on guitar, coming from Winger, Dokken, currently playing with White Snake, Kelly Keagy on drums, coming from Night Ranger, cool addition there, and Timothy Drury on keyboards, having played with White Snake, but also Don Henley and so many other great musicians as well. What's interesting about this particular release here, it's produced by Kip Winger, but he also plays bass on it and co-wrote all the songs. So the music on this is really a cross between Winger and King's X. You got two guys from Winger, Reb Beach and Kip Winger, the two guys that really define the sound of Winger here. So if you're a fan of Winger, definitely check out this great group here. I think they ran under the radar at the time and definitely deserve some more attention. Okay, coming in at number 4, we've got Donny V, Beautiful Things, 2019 solo album release from him. It's his 4th solo album overall. Of course, guitarist and vocalist from Enough's Enough. Not currently with the lineup. He has made 12 albums with the band Enough's Enough and began his solo career back in 2003. This album here is every bit as much as Enough's Enough. If you've been missing the way Enough's Enough used to sound, definitely check this out here. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay, coming in at number 3, we've got Rubicon Cross, their 2014 debut studio album, and so far only one. And again, I think this will be the only one from these guys, although I would certainly welcome more if they could do it. It features CJ Snare on vocals, coming from Firehouse, and Chris Green on guitar, who's actually the current Taiketo guitarist. So two great guys there coming together for this. It does rock a bit harder and a bit dirtier than Firehouse, but it still has plenty of hooks and melody to make any Firehouse fan happy, I think. You know, and since Firehouse hasn't actually made an album since 2003, this would be a good alternative to tide you over until hopefully one day Firehouse does make a brand new album. All right, coming in at number 2, Tom Keifer band Rise came out in 2019, 2nd solo album from Tom Keifer, even though this is technically under the Tom Keifer band. Of course, guitarist and vocalist was Cinderella, and since Tom wrote pretty much all the material for Cinderella, you can imagine this here pretty much sounds just like a Cinderella album. It's like Cinderella for the modern era, and it, in my opinion, is every bit as good as the 4 studio albums from Cinderella, and it's just a great continuation on from that sound and style. All right, and coming in at number 1, we've got Black Swan, Shake the World from 2020. Debut studio album from these guys, and good news is, if you like this, they are in the studio hard at work on a follow-up album. They're a super group, and it features Robin McCauley on vocals, coming from the Macaulay Shankar group, Reb Beach on guitar, of course, coming from Winger, Dokken, and currently White Snake, Jeff Pilson on bass, also from Dokken and currently with Foreigner. And then it's got Matt Starr on drums, who is the current drummer for Mr. Big. So this here definitely a cross between Winger and the Macaulay Shankar group, mostly because of Robin Macaulay's vocals on this. Otherwise, the guitars and everything on this is definitely Winger style and flair and everything. The album was so good itself, it definitely made my top albums of 2020. I mean, that's how good this album was. So not just great in the sense of a glam metal album, but great in the sense of one of the best releases of 2020. So there you go, 10 newer glam metal albums as good as the original era. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to check the links in the description to related videos. You might find something else in there that you like. And definitely, you know, if you really enjoyed this video, please share it out on social media. Help get the word out that way. I would also appreciate that. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye, everyone.